Okay, here we go. It is a on the spot live video. I am in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania. The Pittsburgh Penguins, of course, waited until I hopped on the bike and was in the middle of Cherry Springs State Park to make the trade. Once we got cell service, we were good to go. Shelly Anderson was all over the trade. She was kind of waiting for a detail or two to trickle in, and we got all of that. Also on Pittsburgh Hockey Now, check it out, of course, pittsburghhockeynow.com. I've got the analysis up as well. So, first of all, you will never see me again in just a t-shirt. This is the old hotel that I can't wait to stay in at least once a summer. I try to get up here at least twice, maybe even three times. It's getting to the point where the front desk guy kind of recognizes me. It's an old hotel where Groucho Marx and Bing Crosby stayed back in the 40s and even before that. It's old. I enjoy it. This is my little room. That's all I could get. So let's get into the Matt Dumba trade. The Pittsburgh Penguins accepting Dumba because they also get a second round pick. So just superficially, let's talk about it this way. The Penguins get a second round pick in exchange for taking on a 30-year-old right side defenseman. It's kind of, this is where everything begins to, all the dominoes begin to line up because the Penguins now acquired the one position in which they have a surplus of NHL talent. They've only got one position, right side defense, and they just acquired another one. So what does all of this mean? This clearly is not about Matt Dumba. Almost none of this has to do with Dumba. Look, at his peak, let's call it 4 or 5 years ago, this guy could skate. He was dynamic. He was physical. He was a highly sought young right side defenseman. However, since 2017-18, he hit 50 points that season for the Minnesota Wild. He hasn't cracked 27 points since then. Can you believe that? That's what, to call it 6 seasons where he's really languished or underperformed. So this was not about the Penguins trying to get better. I think you know that part. Now let's lay out the second, third, and fourth steps of this because it really does get a little bit complex. On the surface, Dumba comes in, but now the Penguins have 6 right side defensemen. Chris Letang, Erik Karlsson, Connor Clifton, who Kyle Dubas seemed quite excited to acquire at the draft. Clifton brings some things the Penguins don't have, namely scrappiness and physicality, especially on the right side. The Penguins were happy to get Clifton. You've got Jack St. Ivany, whom both Dubas and Wilkes-Barre Scranton coach Kirk McDonald referenced at the end of the year as a guy who is ready to take that final step. St. Ivany kind of bombed in his NHL debut at the beginning of last season. Didn't last so long. He forced their hand. They didn't want to do it, but they had to send him back to the AHL. He recaptured things. He was a beast by March. He's ready to come back. Also, Harrison Brunick. Penguins director of player development, Tom Kostopoulos, said on Monday, without equivocation, Brunick has probably done all he can do in junior hockey. He's graduating from that level, even though if he doesn't make the NHL squad, the Penguins have to send him back to the WHL. That's a crazy, kind of a stupid rule that we wrote about on Thursday morning on Pittsburgh Hockey Now. What should the Penguins do with these new prospects who haven't yet signed their ELC? Go read that. I'm not going to distract you at the moment. Wonder if I can get see if I can get the layout, if I can change the layout. No, maybe I can't. I thought maybe I could do that midstream. Nope. Can't do it. Thought I could put the arena behind me. Oh, well. Or maybe I can? Nope. Darn. Here, I thought I was being all slick and cool. Anyway, so you have to look at me in the t-shirt and this the powder blue hotel wall rooms. Okay, so the Penguins have 6. First up, obviously, Erik Karlsson goes from probably traded, trying to trade him, listening. Pick a report, right? Erik Karlsson is out there. This is not where Erik Karlsson should be. This tips Dubas's hand just a little bit, in so much as with 6, that's too many. Karlsson almost has to be traded at this point, right? That brings you down to 5. Here is where there's a fork in the road for the Penguins' new trade acquisition. Because Dumba is, he's disposable. He makes $3.75 million, but there is no reason that the Penguins have to keep him on the NHL roster. He's not part of the future. So if he comes to training camp and preseason and doesn't perform better, and they feel like they've got better options, it's nothing to send him through waivers and down to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. It's nothing to do that. He either becomes a reclamation project down there, or he just becomes a warm body waiting for a call to come back to the NHL, which may or may not come. It doesn't matter. The Penguins got what they wanted out of the deal already, and that is the 2028 second round pick. I mean, let's be honest. Yes, it's a win for the Penguins to get a second round pick here. However, it's starting to feel like acquiring all of these draft picks is kind of like going to the yard sale and buying VHS tapes. For you Gen Z, those are the big things you used to put in the VCR. Wait, for you Gen Z types, the VCR was this big thing we put near the TV that would play videotape. Wait, videotape was this. Anyway, you get what I'm doing there. He's acquiring something that these picks don't have as much value as they did a couple of years ago. Nevertheless, the Penguins didn't need that salary cap space. So this is an absolute no-lose situation for the Penguins. If Dumba doesn't get it back, you stash him in the AHL. You save, a few bucks by doing that, at least off of your salary cap hit. But that's not important. If they can get some of that dynamic game back, if they can knock some dust and rust off of Dumba, now what do they have? That's right, boys and girls. A huge trade piece at the trade deadline. Right side defensemen are like left-handed relievers. They always have value. I mean, the Penguins got a 4th rounder for Chad Ruedel 18 months ago. That's insane. So if Dumba shows any sort of NHL competence this season, the Penguins will easily be able to, get a second draft pick. It's kind of like the Cody Glass double dip when the Penguins got a 3rd rounder for Glass by accepting Glass from Nashville and then spun him for another 3rd rounder from New Jersey. There, we'll get a look at Dumba. You're tired of looking at me. I'm tired of looking at me too. No one's complaining about the sound, so it must be working here. I closed all applications on my computer. Maybe that's it. Plus, this little microphone seems to help a great deal. Okay, so there's that part, right? So we're kind of in the no lose. Now we start talking about the trades. Erik Karlsson out the door. Basically, this move just signals that Karlsson is gone. It's very much like signing Anthony Mantha on July 2nd. I guess that signing became official. Mantha is nothing more than insurance or a temporary fill-in if and when Dubas trades Rickard Rakell and or Brian Rust. Okay. So let me take a look here. I did this live. Let me take a look at some of the comments. NES Addict, how are you? It's after 6. He can make it. Let's see here. Armin says this was all about the second round pick. Yep. There's no question about that. Yoda says, to the AHL, it's the warm body. It very well could be. Let's go to Edward, who plays the left side on defense. Now, that is an important question. So on the right, you've got Letang, Connor Clifton, Harrison Brunick, Jack St. Ivany, Matt Dumba. Notice I've taken Erik Karlsson out, right? So there's your 5 that on the right side. Some combination thereof. On the left side, this is a bit of a scrapyard. Owen Pickering. I like Owen a great deal as a player, as a person. I think the new Penguins coaching staff are going to work very well with him because he's a guy who needs a little pat. Needs a little pat on the back, little pat on the backside. He doesn't need Mike Sullivan's boot, which is what he was getting last season. So you've got Pickering, Ryan Graves, whether he makes the NHL roster or not, I don't know. Parker Witherspoon. And then you've got a couple more guys. Ryan Shea, who I think probably should be in the NHL lineup ahead of Ryan Graves, at least as things have transpired over the last couple of years. And you've got Alex Alexeyev. He's on the left side too. I suppose I can get a little bit deeper into this with you here. Alexeyev is going to Wilkes-Barre. I can almost guarantee you that. And here's why. And I don't recall if it was Kirk McDonald or Jason Spezza who answered the question about Alexeyev. No, it wouldn't have been Spezza. It would have been Kostopoulos or McDonald who said he hasn't played any hockey in the last couple of years. He played 11 games last season, and then they kind of dunked him in, the Capitals did, in the deep end for the playoffs. But he really needs to play hockey. And I got the sense as Kirk McDonald was talking that he expected Alexeyev in Wilkes-Barre. So your 4 left-siders are Pickering, Graves, Witherspoon, and Shea. Figure it out, right? That's how the defense pairings are going to shape out. And then Alexeyev is ready, if he's ready, when he gets ready. I mean, he's a big boy who doesn't mind clearing the net. I think that's a great asset for the Penguins to eventually get. There's a couple of names on that list who are, I hate to use the word disposable, but that's kind of what they are, right? Yeah. I went in the bathroom actually before the show, and I washed my hair in the sink. I had some pretty good helmet hair going. It was a pretty good ride today. Let's see what else we got here. By the way, I also took off my Apple Watch. If it wasn't for that Apple Watch, and I hate wearing one, but if it wasn't for that thing, I never would have known about the trade. The alarms start going off, but I do have my good watch on. It is a Hamilton Khaki Aviation, the World War II pilot's watch. I'm in love with it. I wore it on TV Sunday night. Blah, blah, blah. I'm always happy to hear what you got on your wrist, too. A reader or one of our watchers recommended one of these aviation watches to me, and he recommended Lacoste, which is a brand I'm going to get to the questions here, don't worry. A brand that they refired in the 80s. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Then I realized I did some digging on the original company, and they were worn by the German pilots. And I was like, I don't know. That's the last thing I need is someone to be, chirping me on Twitter about wearing the wrong side of World War II. Frank, starting to feel like Dubas is asking for honey mustard. inside joke that Frank must have been on the previous live chats. Honey mustard is a comedy bit from Kathleen Madigan when she was like, this is like 25, 30 years ago. She had one of her first great bits. And I haven't been able to find the video where you've got 4 options. She was a waitress. You got 4 options on your salad dressing: ranch, blue cheese, Thousand Island, and vinaigrette. And she's like, and the customer's like, do you have honey mustard? Dubas is starting to get into the honey mustard, just asking for stuff off the board here. Someday I will find that video. 30 years later, I'm still referencing it. It cracks me up. Let's see here. Maybe the Penguins could use the pick to get a better return on the Carlson trade. I suppose anything is fair game. Dean, what will get them a better return on the Carlson trade is eating more money. Why do I have I don't even know what the heck that means. Okay, Shane, is Raquel more likely to be traded than Rust? Leadership qualities, etc. Yes. Yeah, Raquel is clearly the one that Dubas would rather trade. Raquel has voiced his opposition to being traded both publicly and privately. You can go back to breakup day, Pittsburgh Hockey Now, ask the question. I'm like, have you told them yet that you want to stay? And, he kind of laughed. And yeah, he's pushed to stay. But at this point, you don't really get your choice at this point. Let's go to Big Joe. I like the move. Add picks and flip him. Love it. Ready for the trades to roll in. Now, just so you know, I check out of this room Saturday morning. That means if you're watching Kyle Dubas and Penguins staff, because apparently every time I take a day, you guys make a trade or hire a coach. People were laughing about this on Twitter. The one guy replied, Dan, I thought you were over-exaggerating and just being funny. I didn't realize it was a real thing. Oh, it absolutely is. It is completely a real thing. When Dan takes off, the Penguins get to work. And my day off becomes... Today, I wrote the analysis story from the Lumber Museum, the picnic table in the rest area outside the Lumber Museum in Sweden Valley, which is between Coudersport and Wellsboro. I was writing. My laptop is like the power is going down. We're down like 3 or 4%. And I could hear the rumble of thunder. It wasn't supposed to rain up here at all. But I hear thunder. I'm like, okay, keep writing, Dan. Keep writing. It's not supposed to rain. Then I see the first cloud kind of peek over the mountain at me. I'm like, oh boy. Keep writing. And then I realized I had about 10 minutes to get ahead of the cloud or I was going to wear it. I left pretty quickly and I hauled ass. Got ahead of the cloud. Cloud went the other way. It's all fine and dandy now. YO Pens. How will this impact Blomqvist growth or confidence? Not to mention Jari. Well, the trade itself from Dumba, the trade itself is nothing, right? But I think what you're referring to is you took the worst defense in the NHL, one of the worst in Penguins history. You took that defense and they've basically made it worse, right? At least on paper. Maybe because it's worse on paper, it will be better on the ice. Maybe if you put Jack St. Ivany and Harrison Brunick with Chris Letang on the right side, or Connor Clifton, and you get what I'm saying. Maybe, just maybe, they're a lot better. Gable says, Gable Fisk, we need you to ride your motorcycle across the entire desert Southwest. Just think of the trades it'll produce. I thought about it. Not just, but I really thought about just stringing together a bunch of $60 motels and making a 2-week venture out of this deal. I still kind of have the wild hair to do it. Ride out to Vegas, Say hi to Hannah, our Vegas writer, Hannah Kirkell, who's now settled in her new digs. Sent me pictures of El Gordo tacos last night at like 9:30, about the time I was looking for dinner. And she started sending me El Gordo tacos. And it's one of those places out in Vegas that the locals know about, that the tourists have no idea where it is. And I'm not going to tell you. But yeah, I mean, anytime I take a day off, it's unbelievable. That regular dude, Dan, how often things seem to happen when you take days off? Can you take a week-long vacation so Kyle makes trades faster? Let's go to Ryan. Keeping up with the draft assists and more salary. We should have a great farm system in another year. Actually, Ryan. Let me share the screen here, because I think this is something worth noting. Oh, wait, that's not what I want. Let's go back to the homepage. This is the story that I wanted to talk about, because I think this goes right in line with what you're asking me here. The Penguins now have, 3 first-round picks, a second-rounder, Peyton Kettles, and 3 third-rounders that they made. However, none of them are really close to the NHL. I think Zonin is. Zonin's probably a year away, although I also think he could do some damage in training camp. I really, really liked him. Ville Koivunen, Rutger McGroarty will be in the NHL. Joel Blomqvist, probably in the NHL. Tristan Brose. If he doesn't start in the NHL, he will be in the NHL not long afterward. So when you say a great farm system, I'm actually here to tell you Wilkes-Barre Scranton might suck this year, because there's going to be a gap between the prospects that they've got, who are now in juniors and college, and the prospects they acquired the last couple of years who are now in the NHL. There's kind of there's a 1-2 year gap, which is kind of a shame, actually. I don't know that I will have much reason to go to Wilkes-Barre this season. Maybe to check on Sergei Murashov. Oh, Owen Pickering is another guy that should be in the NHL. Oh, Derek says a Cartier tank is his go-to. Oh, Derek, if only I could afford a Cartier tank. Flexing on me a little bit, are you? No, it's an amazing watch. Dan, take an extended trip. Derek asks, will the Pens make playoff? Pens will not make playoff, Derek. Not even close. Let's go to Negative Pressure Productions. Dan, could you take off on Sunday? It's my birthday, and I could use some interesting Penguins news. Did I go to the Wellsboro Diner? No, not yet. I haven't been to the Wellsboro Diner in a couple of years because they have such a great breakfast at this hotel. I mean, they've got it in the grand old ballroom of the Penn Wells Hotel. That's where breakfast is. And I can't help but go down and get free eggs and sausage and coffee. And yeah, so I haven't been to the Penn Wells. Although, let's see here. Can I show you what I had for lunch? I did stop at a diner. It was in Ridgeway. And whenever you stop at a diner, right, there are 2 things you get. There they are. Mashed potatoes and either a roast beef, meatloaf, or I guess a hot turkey sandwich. Look at the size of that thing. So I had me a great lunch in Ridgeway before I got to the Northern Rim. Anyway, so that's what I like to get at the Wellsboro Diner too. For those of you who've never been to Wellsboro, make the trip. Just spend a couple of days up here, the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, which is massive. I mean, it really is it's stunning. It's on Route 6. Come on up. An old Chrome diner. streets, a street here lined with restaurants on both sides, some cool sports bars and places to hang out. There's some froyo, and there's an old Pizza Hut up the street too. Old tablecloths, red cups, the whole 9 yards. Let's see here. Actually, Gable's saying I should ride the bike southwest, get a taste of 110-degree heat. Ha! I've got you beat, because I rode a motorcycle to Area 51 in the Nevada desert. Actually, I think was it this month, or June was my 3-year anniversary. It was 125. The pavement was melting. The bike was just red hot. Yeah, Dan darn near killed himself that day, because I was starting to have a heat stroke, and I'm trying to get back to civilization. But I saw the mailbox. I saw the front gate of Area 51, and SUVs followed me for like the last 50 miles. I got buzzed by a fighter jet or 3. I could hear them. I was on top of the mountain. I think it's about 2,500 feet elevation, kind of heading right down into Area 51. And I could just hear the jets just right over top of my head. Anyway, Christopher says, not willing to give credit to anything Dubas has gathered yet. His on-ice product has been brutal. Brutal, Christopher says. Well, I don't know. I think you probably like Ville Koivunen, Christopher, and I'm betting you like Rutger McGroarty. Those would be 2 I'd point to. He certainly missed with Tristan Jarry and Ryan Graves and Erik Karlsson. Yeah. But look, this year is not about winning, folks. I mean, Kyle Dubas is not trying to get good players right now. He's plugging gaps with whatever he can get, whoever he can get. It will take a 1, maybe a 2-year deal if they're young enough. That's it. This team is about 27-28. I mean, 2027-2028. But they have to get from here to there. And you're not going to get there with the best team possible if you finish 13th, 14th, 15th in the league because you added Brock Besser, or you added a couple of free agents who were decent or good, but not good enough to make you a contender. So that's what you have to that's what you have to think about, right? The players he's getting now, the Witherspoons, the Anthony Manthas, these guys are stopgaps who become trade value, trade bait. That's it. Let's go to David here. David. Any good goalies in the system that could be up and coming? David. Go to the PHN prospects page. Yes. The answer is yes. The next one is on the way. Might be here in December. I could tell you his name, David, but I feel like that would deny you the joy of discovery and research, Sergei Miroshov. I feel like that would take that away from you, as if I were AI talking to you. And no one learns anything from AI. They just plug it in. David. Do the Penguins have any good goalies? All right. Let's see here. Let's go to Brian. Could the Pens start the season with Larson as the backup? You're talking about Philip Larson. It's conceivable. I mean, it really is. My scouting report on Larson was that he was stiff. He's a bigger goalie. He's like 6'3". At least he looks bigger, right? He plays bigger. But he was stiff. A lot of rebounds. He had a huge save percentage, a big save percentage. Unfortunately, when I was able to watch him, he picked up a lot of second saves that shouldn't have been second shots. He was giving up some big pizzas, right? And that's a problem. I don't think he's better than Joel Blomqvist, but He goes home in the summer. He figures some things out. He works on some things. He comes back in training camp. He's on his game. He starts absorbing more shots. Why not? The Penguins wouldn't say no. The Penguins would not they would not banish Larson to Wilkes-Barre if he's the better option. Shane. Saw some rumors about Sid wanting to finish out with Gino and then would want to leave Pittsburgh. Do I think Sid has any second thoughts on finishing with the Penguins? Okay, Shane, those were not rumors, okay? That was multiple people. I think Elliot Friedman was one, and maybe Frank Saravalli was another, or whomever, was saying, hey, look, maybe it lines up that Sid won't get traded this summer because he's not going to abandon Evgeny Malkin. But next summer, it's conjecture, speculation, not rumors. Got it? Big difference. Let's go to Big Joe here. Will Tanner Howell be able to play in Wilkes-Barre? Yes, eventually. He's recovering from a torn ACL. Also, I see that Horkoff made the U.S. World Junior team. I'll have to look into that. Obviously, I was a little busy today trying to take a damn day off. If Horkoff, Team USA doesn't name their team until like October. I'm willing to bet he got invited to camp for Team USA, which I would expect. And yes, that is good. I'll tell you what, Horkoff was significantly better than I anticipated. I mean, so was Bill Zonin. Although I had done some video on Zonin, I kind of knew what I was going to see, but Zonin lived up to what I hoped to see. Horkoff, on the other hand, just blew me away. Those power forward moves. I think one was even through Harrison Brunick. Off the wall to the net. Great stuff. Yeah, Horkoff, he was rated in the mid-40s, 50s even at the draft. And I don't want to pump the kid's tires to the point of overinflation. He's off to a good start. And it might have been a very good pick by Wes Clark. Ben Kindle might have been a bad pick. Horkoff might have been a great pick. You take the three, you average them all out, and if you get two on the NHL roster, that'll be a very good day. WC says at development camp Saturday, who was the coach with glasses running one of the drills? You could hear him in the stands. Yeah, they had a bunch of the development staff there. I can't say that I've ever been introduced to most of them. Thus, I don't know them. Oh, David's back. I wish Fleury would come back. David, you're killing me tonight. Spork says, what kind of motorcycle do I ride? My dad has a 1980 BMW. Okay, well, I ride a little bit of a bigger motorcycle. I ride a Victory Vegas, blacked out. Do I have any pictures of, let me see here. Nope, I don't have any pictures of my bike uploaded. Yeah, it's a blacked out cruiser. I enjoy it very much. You can look up what a Victory Vegas. Actually, here, I know where one's at. Ha. I'll get to your questions. Don't worry. Let's see if I can. Well, that's not what I want. Okay, here. If you're curious, I'll show you real quick because it's the best motorcycle I've ever owned. And why is that on the screen? Anyway. There. That's what I ride. That black shiny bike, although mine has been through a couple of wars. A lady pulled out of her driveway, farmland behind Coriopolis, and I had two choices: dump the bike and slide into her neighbor's yard, or T-bone her. I chose the neighbor's yard, so it got a little scuff on the tailpipe, and I've also put about 30,000 miles on it. Let's see. Let's go to YO Pens. That sandwich looked pretty good, except for Tanner Howe, who in the past couple of drafts could play for Wilkes-Barre Scranton. It's a very good question. And I don't know off the top of my head. I guess I could go back through development camp, but I think Wilkes-Barre will be veteran laden this season. A couple of the guys are going to stay in college because they were injured. Guys like Luke Devlin, I've been waiting for him to make the jump. But it seems like he's been injured every year since his freshman year. I'm trying to think of who else. Daniel Latch, 7th rounder, still University of Wisconsin. I don't know, to be honest with you. Some of the people on here might be like, Dan, you're missing an obvious one, but just off the top of my head, I can't. Brian says Murashov is pronounced Murasho. Murash. Good luck. I've talked to him about this, by the way. and I'm allowed to say Murashov. Murashov if you really want. How many stupid questions can we fill the chat with? Dylan asks. That's always a question I ponder too. Okay, let's go. Oh, David is just now finding Murashov. All right. No, the goalie coach is Andy Kyoto. Chico does not wear glasses. Let's go to Michael. Yo, Dan, I'm looking forward for this year. In my opinion, this team's forward group seems better than last year. I mean, could it be worse? I think it will be more interesting, more fun. I think it will be fun to root for Rutger McGroarty and Ville Koivunen and Tristan Brose. And what the heck? Maybe you're an Anthony Mantha fan. You get to root for guys like that too. Justin Brazeau. It's entirely possible. Then again, by December, you might be pretty tired of a couple of those guys too. They're not performing, et cetera, et cetera. All right. We've already done over 30 minutes, and this was supposed to be just on Matt Dumba, right? Am I hearing anything about the CHL NHL agreement changing? Jason asks. Jason, that is a honey mustard question. Did I report anything? Did I talk about it? Did I mention there could be changes coming and I am going to have a report coming? No. Trust me, kids. I'm not sitting here waiting for you to ask me questions to report something. If I've got something, I'm going to report it and then we'll talk about it. I love when people ask me, are you hearing anything about this player? Are you hearing? Like, yes, I'm waiting for some rando on Twitter to ask me a question to break the big news. I'm just sitting there waiting. Who's going to ask me about Erik Karlsson? I've got the inside scoop, but I'm not going to say a word until somebody asks me. Michael says, I wish we brought back POJ. I think POJ would be better than at least 2, if not 3, of the left-siders. I know POJ's got it. P.O. Joseph never had a rabbi in the room singing his praises, pumping him up. He never had that. From the time he was in juniors, he was a polarizing guy, and I can't help but think some of that was personal. I didn't understand it, why he was left to languish in Wilkes-Barre for an extra year and a half before they finally called him up, and why he had such a short leash when he was 23, 24. You'd want that guy in your lineup. Anywho, that's it. We're done. Matt says going to be a long year coming. Yep. But there are more trades coming. That much we can almost guarantee. I ride home Saturday, or at least ride somewhere Saturday. So that's when the Erik Karlsson news should, in fact, break. Maybe the Rickard Rakell news, or with my luck, I'm going to run over my phone. It's going to die. And that's the day Sidney Crosby makes a big announcement. Guaranteed. All right, kids. I guess the sound held out. Have fun. And I don't know. I'm going to actually try to go get some dinner in this lovely little town and enjoy a teeny bit of a vacation. Go to PittsburghHockeyNow.com. Read it all. Have fun.